Well, it's been a long road, brothers and sisters, but we finally reached chapter 100 for Toriko, and it was definitely a fun one. That's about all I can say, a fun one.
Toriko Gourmet number 100. New House of Sweets.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters and gourmet hunters, gourmet revivers, the Four Kings, Komatsu, and really anybody who is a food enthusiast. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review, the 100th review, and now we're in triple digits, for the awesome and just appetizing and hunger-inducing tale of Toriko. Now, our last chapter and the last couple were really the wind down of the Century Soup arc, as obviously Komatsu was able to eventually create the Century Soup. Toriko was able to grow back his arm. They had a big party. Toriko decided to go and add the Century Soup to his full course menu, and really things wound up leaving off with I would say just everybody kind of being happy and having a smile on their face. Certainly a lot of good things came from it, and really I think is a great way to go and wrap up an arc and a chapter and everything like that. So that's where we left off, and we actually pick up in this one. Toriko is headed back to his house, wherever his candy house may be. We've seen it once before, and they never really tell us. It's just somewhere and out in the middle of nowhere, and it's a house made entirely of candy. So he gets to where his house normally is, and his house is gone. It's like, what the fuck, you know? And as he's approaching it, of course, he's like, you know, I want to see how Terry's doing and blah, 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 right? Well, all of a sudden, out of nowhere comes this giant crab pig rolling in that's been obviously killed and what have you. And he winds up seeing Terry as Terry comes over to give it. He's gotten bigger. He's coming over to lick, you know, Toriko and everything else. And honestly, Terry was one of those things that he was an element that I felt was missing from the Ice Hell arc. And obviously, you know, just he probably couldn't have handled the extreme temperatures and everything else. But really, I kind of missed him. I was starting to really enjoy having him around, certainly after we saw him in the BB Corn arc, kind of front and center. And then, of course, as well in the, in the Regal Mammoth arc. But anyway, so Toriko is reunited with him. He mentions how he got that much bigger. Then he looks over, and who's there? Who's there still following him around like a little lost puppy dog, or actually following Terry around because Terry's the one that showed dominance over him, but the Obasaurus. So, the one that the Stargin-controlled robot was riding. Anyway, in the Regal Mammoth arc, and then Toriko's like, man, what, did your tongue get longer? Gross, you know? Anyway, the bottom line is that his house has been eaten up. It's very tasty, and he thinks it's been eaten by, you know, wildlife, animals, insects, what have you. He ate a lot of it himself. So he goes and he winds up giving a call over to the Smile architecture firm over in Food City, and the head architect, this kind of genius prodigy that helped to build many of the different landmarks and just kind of just architectural, you know, not anomalies, but architectural, the word that I'm looking for here. Basically, a lot of the really cool, unique pieces of architecture throughout the human world over here. This architect that he calls, it's kind of his back pocket guy over here. His name is Smile. He's the one that actually gets the call that Toriko needs another house. And he's like, what the hell? I've built this guy hundreds of houses. All he ever does, he wants me to make him out of food, and all he ever does is he eats the damn things. And then I gotta make him another one, you know? And they're like, remember what this Smile agency's all about? You gotta have a smile. And the guy's name is Smile, right? And he's just like, as he kind of gives this smile, and she's like, that was a putrid smile. And it's funny because, like, the theme in this particular chapter, other than just kind of having a good time and just the smiling and partying and everything like that, is that sometimes you get so wrapped up in what you're doing in your work, in your career, in your schooling, that you kind of forget how it is to smile, to have fun, to have a good time. I myself have found that with doing the YouTube videos, although it started out and it was a fun hobby, because I have committed and stayed on a schedule, or a pretty rigorous schedule with things, and committed a lot of time to it. There's been times where I've had to go and just take a couple of days and just go and not even bother logging into or looking at any videos or thinking about anything with video editing or processing or uploading or whatever, because of the fact that it's just too much, you know. And the same goes for, you know, like I said, real world jobs, school, whatever it may be. Sometimes if you get so wrapped up and you focus all of your energy on it, you forget what it's like when you weren't focusing your energy on it. And you kind of forget how to have fun and how to smile. And to me, that was kind of the theme of this chapter with him. So anyway, nonetheless, Toriko goes and promises Smile, because Smile's like, he's like, I'm working on this amusement park and this and that. And Toriko's like, listen, if you come over and build the house for me and take care of all this stuff, I'll give you a taste of the century soup, right? Or a certain soup that you may like. And he's like, the century soup? Toriko's like, yeah, word travels fast. He's like, you better keep your promise. So Smile is excited. He feels that that's going to put a smile back on his face, right? And really the rest of the chapter, it's kind of cool because you go and then you see just Toriko and Terry going out and just collecting these different crazy things that they can have that, I mean, just the goofiest, like, candy coral and just these, you know, you find some kind of, like, chocolate pudding geyser, you know, and he's like, let's collect this in a tub and bring it back. And basically he's running around trying to collect all these, and many of them are, like, fan-made things that were sent in, you know, because then it'll go and it'll give credit to the, to whatever fan it was that, you know, that thought of it, you know, this was sent in by so-and-so. So it was kind of cool to go and see some of those thrown in there, you know, as usual. I don't know, I think there was maybe 4, 5, 6 of them, you know, and it was all this mountain of, like, candy-type edible objects that are brought, and then ultimately he asks Smile, is that cool? Is that enough? And he's like, yeah, it'll be more than enough. So Smile goes and they begin construction, and kind of through this little quick montage of a panel or two, then all of a sudden construction is done, right? And Toriko's got this freaking mansion-like castle that's actually pretty cool looking. Here, let me see if I could go and pull this bad boy up over here. And then the nice thing is, so that actually looks pretty cool. And then after that, like a couple panels later, all of a sudden the whole gang shows up, right? We've got Rin, we've got Komatsu, we've got Mansum over there, Mr. Mansum Handsome. We got Toriko's buddy Tom, that if you remember, we've obviously seen him, but all the way back to the first arc in the first chapter when he was introduced. We've got Coco, and some of the characters that we didn't actually see in the tasting of the Century Soup, where we were kind of wrapping up with those particular characters. So this was neat to see, because, you know, Rin's still like the lovesick puppy that she was, you know, back in the Regal Mammoth arc, you know, just basically wanting to sniff Toriko's drawers, you know, anything she can, right? But as they're in the place, and Mansum's already drunk, of course, they wind up going, and they show his faucet in his sink, you know, and one of them pours warm milk, and another one pours chocolate, you know, and Mansum's like, does one of them pour beer? And anyway, they're all partying, having a good time, you know, with the century soup, obviously eating that. Smile goes, and he ends up having some of this century soup, and it immediately gives him that big, just sort of goofy smile that nobody can wipe off their face when they get it. And it was really just kind of cool. Again, just a very much, just sort of the exclamation point, the perfect ending to a nice, fairly long, fairly lengthy arc that we had here. You know, 35 chapters, I think, somewhere around there, 35, 36 chapters, maybe 37. And I thought it was very cool because the arc started off and had this kind of bridging, building up point of 4, 5, 6 chapters before they actually got there. And then the wind down has been like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 chapters as well. But it was done in such a neat way that it really just, it kind of feels like it's all just part of this one great continuous story, as opposed to some arcs sometimes in any manga that I've read, comic books even, and stuff like that, they're too jarring. They go from one to the next, and you can tell that it was a distinct different set of thoughts. You know, that the writer was finished with this one, the mangaka, whatever. He was, I'm done with this one, now I got to move on to the next one. Sometimes it's a little bit jarring. You're like, whoa, hold on a second there, you know? Whereas this flows very nicely. So anyway, the whole point of the arc is Coco decided to show up as well. You know, that was one of the other things. He decided to show up to basically congratulate Toriko on adding another meal to his full course menu. And then, you know, they talk a little bit about Sunny and how he was too much of a prude to try the actual soup, you know, and Coco's like, no, I'll eat it, you know. And Mansum, of course, is there just being drunk, and him and Toriko are fighting. Anyway, Rin goes, and again, being the lovesick puppy dog that she is, she goes and she's laying on this cotton candy bed, and she's rolling around in it, and she's like, oh my god, this is so great. Just imagine, this is where Toriko sleeps. This is where Toriko sleeps. And, you know, and who knows what they, you know, off camera, they probably showed her, you know, going through his dirty laundry and stuff like that, and trying to, you know, find locks of his hair in the bathtub and stuff to keep for souvenirs, because she does seem like she's maybe a stage 5, maybe even a stage 6 clinger, you know. So I don't even know if there's a stage 6, but if there is, she probably is that. But again, just a very fun chapter, and really just kind of meant to go and wrap things up and give us a check-in with Terry, with the Obosaurus, the new house. As they wind up partying into the night, they're eating it, and the next day the house is gone. And they're like, now Smile has to build a new house, you know. And then you get this little picture of Smile in the corner, and he's just like, yeah, great, I get to build a new house, you know. And he's like, yeah, that's right. What did he say? Well, poor Smile has to build another house. And then say something about, then Smile never smiled again. And really the last page, though, that you wind up seeing, or the last panel of the chapter 100 over here, which to me, it was cool, but it wasn't like this big extravaganza milestone chapter that it should have been. And I understand that manga is different from, you know, like American comic books in the sense that comic books, when they come out monthly, when they get to issue 25, 50, 75, 100, they're usually milestone issues. Many times they're double-sized issues. Many times they have a special guest artist that comes on there, or colorist, or whatever the case may be. Sometimes they're standalone stories. Sometimes it's a climax to an arc. You don't see as much of that in manga, and probably because it's more rigorous. It's a weekly type of deal over there. You will see it, or at least I have in One Piece on the hundreds, the 100, the 200, the 300. They've been pretty big, pretty poignant chapters. You know, I thought that were pretty good. But this one, although not bad, really nothing significant happening. At the end of it, though, it gives us a little bit of a teaser. It takes us somewhere to the ends of the earth, right? And we see the century soup is basically, you know, by Alfaro, is being given to the boss, right? You know, to the chef, was it Kumadoro or something like that, or Kuma? I can't remember it exactly, because they've only mentioned his name once or twice. But anyway, and we don't even see, we just kind of see him sitting on this throne in the background, like some kind of, like, you know, just evil, like, Skeletor from, you know, He-Man, Masters of the Universe, for anyone that gets that reference. But all in all, like I said, a very cool chapter. Nothing huge or explosive wound up really happening in it. Really just more of a fun kind of like, hey, let's show all these characters here and everybody kind of coming together before we go and dive into the next one. So, very cool stuff. My chapter question for you, though, brothers and sisters, is what were your thoughts overall on the Ice Hell arc? I obviously gave some of my thoughts on it, certainly in the 30-something reviews that I've done for the entire arc, as well as in this one. But what were your thoughts? Just kind of a wrap-up. Leave it in the comments down below. What were the good, the bad, the ugly, the things that you thought that were there, that should have been, the things that you were maybe missed, or a character you wanted to see in there? Let me know all that in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation.
Follow me on my other channels as well as Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram too.